right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to this masterclass with a very long title that basically I think I just wrote that down on an email a long time ago to the organizers, and they kept it as like the title, so that's why it's very weird and very long. It was just kind of a brain dump of what I thought I could be speaking about. So I guess I will stick with that now. So in case you don't know me, I'm Kevin Loaec. I'm the CEO of a company called Wizard Sardine. We do Bitcoin security stuff. And the main thing we are building right now is called Liana. Liana is a Bitcoin wallet that you can use. It's not very complex to use, but it is an advanced Bitcoin wallet. Not advanced as in difficult to use, but advanced as what it does. The main differences with Liana and the rest, or at least most of the Bitcoin wallets out there, is that it lets you do cool stuff like using time locks. But not time locks to lock your coins. We use time locks to lock some spending conditions, meaning you can have some keys that are not going to work right now. They can only work in the future if there is inactivity in your wallet, while your normal keys work all the time. So we're not trying to lock coins here, right? We're not trying to put a Bitcoin and lock it for 10 years and you cannot spend it for 10 years. What we're trying to do is to make sure that you always have recovery options that you can actually have locked. So it could be people you trust, it could be keys that you have in a place that's less secure, maybe in your house, which you shouldn't probably keep your main key at home, because if someone threatens you, you might be able to spend your coins. But if it's just a backup that's locked for a year, they can't do anything with it, even if they break into your house while you're at the conference right now. So there are a lot of really cool use cases for time locks in Bitcoin. Another one, of course, like very obvious one, is inheritance. So instead of giving a copy of your key right now, of your Bitcoin wallet, to your family, and just tell them, okay, well, if something happens to me, spend the money, but if I'm still alive, please don't steal my money. With time locks, you can actually give them a key or take an existing key they already have, and basically they can't access your wallet if they try. They can only spend the money if you haven't touched it for, let's say, 1 year. You can configure that time, right? So this is actually very practical for a lot of different use cases. And the one I'm going to talk about here, as the title of my talk is actually for companies. But you can think of that for yourselves, for a family office, for whatever you want. I didn't prepare any slides whatsoever. I actually didn't prepare this presentation, so it's going to be full impro. I trust the wallet, so I'm going to go with a live demo. And we hope for the best. And yeah, please interrupt me if you have questions, if you have specific use case, anything you want to talk about. I'm really happy to make this more interactive and less of just me standing and doing random stuff. I have one question first, because I see quite a few familiar faces in the room. So who has already used Liana? Nice. Okay, cool. So yeah, you might be learning some things, or at least seeing new stuff, because we are improving Liana very fast. We have a new release coming up every 2 months now. So the improvements are pretty quick. So if you haven't used Liana for 6 months, it's going to look quite a bit different already. So what I'm going to do with this demo is actually thinking as in we are setting up a secure Bitcoin wallet for a small business. We are going to have 2 people that are like kind of the normal stakeholders in the business that are going to be required to spend the funds. So let's say it's your CEO and your CFO, something like that, right? So these people are the only 2 people that can spend the fund in a normal case, and also both of them are going to be required to sign the transaction to send funds. But of course, because that sounds like a 2 of 2, which it is, it's super risky in a traditional Bitcoin sense, because if one of them lose their key, the coins would be lost forever. So we are going to do something that we call an expanding multisig, which means that over time, this 2 of 2 will become a 2 of 3 with a 3rd key. This 3rd key, where is it? I don't know. We can think about it as like, it's a trusted notary or lawyer that keeps it. But this key is not valid in the normal cases, right? Your co-founder or your CFO cannot go to the lawyer and be like, hey, can we co-sign a transaction, and just bypass the CEO to, I don't know, increase the salaries. They can't. The key of the notary will not be able to sign unless there has been no activity on the wallet for like a year, right? So meaning one of the people lost a key. Could be less than a year. Maybe we'll do less than a year for the demo. It would be a bit long in the, to present otherwise. But yeah, so this third key could be anything. Could be your board of director, like the chairman or something. Can be a trusted third party. Can be a service you pay for with like a custodian service that would just keep this key. And they are paid for it. And if there is a problem, you can go to them for a co-signing thing. Yes?
So my question is there a max amount of time?
Yeah, so the question is about the maximum duration of this time, or this time lock. The ones we use, so in Bitcoin, you have two types of time locks. I'm simplifying a little bit, but you have two main types of time locks. You have check sequence verify and check lock time verify. We are using the check sequence verify, which is called a relative time lock. So it's relative to the movement of the funds. It's relative to the UTXO creation on chain. The maximum time lock we can use for this in Bitcoin currently is about 15 months, so a year and 3 months. It's a limitation in the protocol, and the Bitcoin protocol, so it's not a limitation of Liana, it's just the way it is in Bitcoin right now. There are some discussions to increase it, but of course any of these changes in Bitcoin are going to take some time because we're actually touching on the consensus side of the system. It's not a big change, so it's not going to take many, many years, hopefully, but we still need to find the right way to increase it. The other type of time lock that exists is called an absolute time lock. So it's absolute as in you pick a day in the future, like a specific date in time. And at this specific date in time, your funds would be accessible or your key would be unlocked. We're not using that type of time lock in Liana. The reason for that is that we want people to just have one backup of their wallet. And with Liana, every time you use it, it kind of pushes the time lock in the future. But if you were using an absolute time lock, it's absolute. So every time you want to move the date in the future, you have to create technically a new wallet and a new backup. And over time, people would just have to manage so many backups, we believe they would do mistakes. So this is the reason why, for now, we don't use this kind of time locks in Liana. And the maximum limit for this kind of time lock is like 9,000 years in the future. So you could actually also shoot yourself in the foot by putting the wrong setting, right? So yeah, so this is what I'm going to present right now. I brought a bunch of signing devices. One of them I have an issue with for some reason. I've been trying to debug it, but I think it's related to Arch Linux that I'm using, because everyone that uses Arch Linux needs to say they are using Arch Linux. Yeah, and so I have the issue on two different computers. I tried different USB cables, because I use USB cables. I tried different signing devices, different keys, whatever, same problem. It's not UDEV, for the devs that are in the room, it's not a UDEV rules. I don't know what the problem is, but hey. So this is with a cold card, but I can actually show you a cold card in air gap mode. It's going to be a bit more complex, but I can actually show you that, and that's a good way of showing you how this works. So first thing I'm going to do is to, so yeah, it's going to be a demo, kind of like maybe a bit more technical, but it's fine. It's going to go through pretty simply. I'm going to launch it in RegTest. So RegTest is one of the test network of Bitcoin. There is a few. There is a testnet that most people know because it's called testnet and it sounds good. That's the one that probably you shouldn't use. Then there is Signet that I personally recommend. Signet is like a normal Bitcoin network, but it's with fake coins. Of course, the coins have no value. It's there for testing. But the mining is not really represented as with miners. You actually have signers, so we are trusting some nodes in the network to make the blocks, but we don't care because the funds don't exist, right? So Signet is probably the best if you want to try some wallets, whatever wallets, right? Not just Liana. You usually have a setting in the settings of your wallet, and if you have Signet there, that's a good way to try sending funds if you don't really feel confident with a specific wallet or even with using Bitcoin generally. But what we're using is RegTest. RegTest is another one. It's a network that runs locally on your computer, but you can mine by just typing a command and just say, hey, I want 100 blocks, and you get 100 blocks. So I can basically make time move faster, which is useful when we're talking about time locks. So yeah, first things I'm going to do is just launch Bitcoin D, which is the Bitcoin software. I don't know if you can see anything there. I can probably make my screen bigger. Well, it's fine. So I'm just going to type Bitcoin D, which is the Bitcoin daemon, which is the Bitcoin software. And I'm adding -RegTest. which is the test network I wanted. I'm just going to press enter, and it's launching my Bitcoin rec test in the background. Done. Okay, that was the most technical thing of this workshop. Because I don't want to type commands to create these blocks, although that's how it's supposed to be, my team actually created a small software for people like you and me to be playing with rec test with buttons, and you can press to create new blocks. And that's called Minta. So of course that works for anything, not just Liana. So if you are a person in the room that likes to play with this test network, you should try Minta. So Minta is coded in Rust. So I just need to copy it from GitHub, but I've done that. And cargo run, and I can run it. And this is what Minta looks like. So of course you don't need to use that when you use Liana. This is just for the sake of the demo. So in this small software, I can create blocks by just pressing a button. So I can make the time move faster, and we can see time moving. So this is just for you to know that I'm going to use that. So a little bit of advertising on our side. So right now I'm connected to my nodes. This node I already created 2 blocks because I actually created this while I launched my Bitcoin rec test just before the workshop. And yeah, another thing that's cool because I'm mining my own blocks on my own machine is that I can basically have infinite money, which is great for demos. Now I'm just going to launch Liana. So this is Liana, that's what it looked like. I already have a bunch of wallets in there. I use it for everything, our company, our events, my stuff, some testing things, like Liana is used for many things. So here you have a menu at the top, and I'm going to use the rec test. So right now it's empty. So this is what Liana looks like the first time you launch it, basically, even if it's in the mainnet, but this one is going to rec test. You can create a new wallet or add an existing wallet, meaning a backup of an existing Liana, right? So if you are recovering the funds from someone else that died or something, you would use the second menu, but we're going to create a new wallet. So here we currently have 2 templates and 1 custom options. These templates are basically what we know people are using the most. But of course, Liana is just a wallet that you can set up any way you want. So the simple inheritance is for a single sig, where you have a single sig, and you want a second key that you will give to your family with a time lock, typically 1 year. And you just tell them, well, if something happens to me, 1 year later, you can access my coins. So very basic stuff. I'm not going to cover that one. What I'm going to cover is the expanding multisig, where we have 2 keys, a 2 of 2, that will become a 2 of 3 later on. So I'm going to select that one. It shows you a nice little graph here to explain again what I said at the beginning, which is that the 2 of 2 can spend at any time. And you need these 2 keys to spend, right? So that's going to be CEO and CFO. And then you have, it become a 2 of 3, where any 2 of these 3 keys can spend with the orange key that you see there that can only spend after a specific time has passed. So we can set that time, right? So this is what it looks like, right? So I need to set a bunch of keys. I have the key 1 and 2, that's going to be my CEO, my CFO, and then I have a recovery key, that's going to be the key we leave with, let's say, the notary. So first thing I do, of course, Liana is a software. We don't want to have keys on computers. At least normal people shouldn't have their private keys on computers. Always use signing devices. These are things that are made for security. You don't have to think too much about your security. Just use the devices. Don't leave your keys on a computer. Otherwise, it's going to be gone. At least your money is going to be gone. So here I have a bunch of devices. I have a Bitbox, and I see someone from Bitbox in the room, so I kind of have to have a Bitbox now. So I'm going to go there to set my first key. I don't think I have a camera on the stage, no. So I'm just going through the setup, if it works. It's currently not working. It's always the same thing. Every single time you go live, it's the same thing. Let me try again. I'm going to blame the Bitbox guy. All right. I'm going to try without the cable. I know that's the first step to... All right. I hope it works. It does not work. Why? I don't know. It works. Okay. So now I need to unlock my bitbox, so I'm typing my PIN. And it will show up on the screen. Yeah. So now I have my bitbox here. It asks the name, so we are going to say this is the CEO. You have here a thing that's called account number. Does not matter for the first time you use Liana. But if you use the same key, meaning the same hardware device, on multiple wallets, let's say you want to use it as well for your personal wallet, but then you're also the CEO and you don't want to buy a second device, you want to use the same for your CEO key, you can. But for privacy reason, you should actually select a different account number here. This is about the derivation pass, but that means that if you select a different number when you use different, like your same wallet multiple times, you keep them completely separated on chain, so somebody looking at the blockchain doesn't know it's the same signing device. I'm going to keep the 0 here. For the second key, I'm going to use a ledger. This is going to be a Nano S Plus. So first thing I have to do is to type the PIN, as always. So for now, you know, nothing complicated. I am just typing pins. Actually, this one is 0000, but the bitbox is 1234. My team loves to do this kind of stuff. So we have things with like 4 digits, 6 digits, whatever. I never know. So now we put post-its on them. So I know I know the PIN. Yeah, but I want to have the normal user experience, you know? I need the pain, otherwise it's not fair. So on Ledger, you also need to open the app. So when you use RegTest on Ledger, you have a Bitcoin testnet application. So if you just have the Bitcoin application, it won't work with the test networks. So if you want to use testnet, signet, or RegTest, you have to download the Bitcoin testnet application on your Ledger. So that's what I launched. I'm going to call this one CFO. And for my third key, do I want to use the cold card here? Well, I can. So I already extracted one of the expub of the cold card because it's a little bit of a pain, but you have to go in the advanced settings. Then you need to do export wallet. And in the export wallet, you have tons of options there. I use the JSON one, which gives you all the keys. So you can just fetch the expub this way, and I've put it in a text editor somewhere. Yeah, there. So this is one of the expub of my test cold card. So of course, here I can just go to other options, and I'm going to paste an expub, and I hope it works. It works. And this is going to be, let's say, the notary. And so now we see basically the wallet is already set up. That's pretty cool, right? So we have CEO, CFO. They repeat the same keys in the second path, plus the notary key. And here we already see that it's a 2 out of 3 at the bottom. So if I wanted, I could change that to a 1 of 3. I think it would not be good for security, but so let's leave it like that. We have the time here, it's 1 year. I can, as the first question, I can increase it up to 15 months, which is the maximum you can do right now in Bitcoin, or I could do it much lower. I'm going to do it much lower. I'm not going to do 10 minutes, but let's say I'm going to do 200 blocks, so I can go pretty fast with my reg test. I can also click customize if I want to go further, and I'm going to do that just to show you. So with this, I can really change everything, right? I can add more keys, delete keys, have more recovery options, which I'm going to do. So I'm adding another recovery option again, where this time I'm not going to keep expanding the multisig. I'm going to use a completely different key that's going to be maybe with an insurance company that I'm paying a subscription for, and they are going to insure my Bitcoin in case really I lose everything. They will have a key, so they can recover them, only if I lose everything else, of course. And if they lose their key, you might even be able to sign a contract with them that they still pay you the Bitcoin as a normal insurance policy. So that's kind of two different things. You can have them just as like a technical insurance where they are here for recovery in case you lost your keys, but you could also, and that's something we're going to launch at the end of the year, pay a subscription like for a real insurance company that are going to cover you in case the funds are actually lost, right? So this is pretty cool when you start having responsibilities, maybe in a business, and your stakeholders are always complaining about how is the money safe kept, and you really want to have self-custody, but you can't really defend because everyone else is using Coinbase or whatever. And yeah, now you will be able to tell them, well, we are in self-custody, but if we fucked up, it's okay. We have an insurance company behind that will cover our wallet. So that's going to solve a lot of problems. So now I'm using another ledger. This one is the Flex. And it's going to pop up there. And this one is going to be my insurance key, let's say. So what it means now is that I have a wallet that the primary spending condition is either this, no, it's both the CEO and the CFO signing. You cannot sign with just one person, it has to be both. Or after 1 day and 9 hours, which would be much longer in real life. Well, it's going to be shorter here as well, but anyway. So after the specific time lock, if one of the keys is lost, it goes to a 2 of 3. So it's okay if the CEO lost their key or the CFO lost their key because the notary should have their own. If 2 keys are lost, right now, too bad, right? It's a 2 of 3, you need 2 of them. So if both the CEO and the CFO or even the notary lost their keys, you kind of screwed. But that's okay because we have another recovery option, which is just a single sig after a whole year, where it's just the insurance key that's able to access it, right? Do you guys have any questions so far, or is anything unclear? Okay, it's yes. Well, let's first, yeah.
Why did you add XPub on the?
Yes. Why did I add an XPub? So Bitcoin education has been done kind of wrong all this time. People think an XPub represents a wallet, but it doesn't really. It's just a bunch of public keys. And so here, when you have, so we're using something called miniscript, but whatever. When you use multisig or any kind of more complex wallet with more than one key, what you need when you want to generate addresses is called a descriptor. It's not an XPub anymore. So each of your key has an XPub. So we make sure that every time you generate a new address, each of the key use also a different public key. So that's just to make sure we never reuse a public key. It makes sure that every address is completely different when you look at them on chain. So this is why I put an XPub from the cold card, also because I can't plug it to my computer. So I went to check to get the XPub from the cold card, put it there. And so now with this information in my software, we can generate new addresses. Yes, the other question? No, good question. So which platforms as in which operating system? So currently we don't have a mobile version. It will come in the future at some point, not soon. But you can use it on Windows, Mac, Linux. It works just out of the box. Yeah. Yeah.
When you selected the time lock, you selected it in blocks, but I think the end sequence has this timestamp.
We can do both. The blocks is kind of, so the question was, why did I select the time in blocks and not in bunch of seconds, which is the other option to use the relative time locks? It's just more close to reality. In Bitcoin, there is no time, really. There is just number of blocks. So the time is actually taken as a guess from the network. So you take an average of the timestamp of each blocks, but the miner can lie, etc., etc. So having a time lock that's actually timed in seconds is just not great because Bitcoin doesn't really know time in seconds, right? So I prefer to use blocks. It's just cleaner. It's also, we can go to 15 months in blocks. We can't go that high in seconds. It's a little bit less for some reason. But yeah, hope that answered your question. Yeah.
If you selected the XPub, then how does that allow the notary key to spend the funds from the XPub? That should not be the case, right?
It is not the case. You're right. So just the XPub is not enough to spend. They also need another information, which is the wallet descriptor that I'm going to show you in a bit. So yeah, you're right. The XPub is not enough. Just having the 12 or 24 words will not display the money of this wallet on their I don't know, whatever device I use. I use a ledger, so let's say if you have Ledger Live or something, it's not going to show the amount that's in this wallet because your Ledger Live doesn't have any knowledge of the other keys in there. So they can't even check the blockchain for the amount of money you have or things like that. So you need an extra piece of information, which is called a descriptor. I'm going to show you that right now. Yeah. Yeah, same thing. So to spend first, you need to know which coin you are spending. And you cannot find the coins without all the information about all the keys, because to find the coins, you need also the public keys of every other key for each derivation. So each coin, yeah. Yes?
Sorry. So after 1 year, this wallet turns into both a 2 out of 3 multisig and a single sig.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
So you cannot disable spending conditions in Bitcoin. So the question was, like, what is the wallet after like 2 years? It's not a single sig. It's both. Either the insurance key or any previous layer. And of course, the previous layer being a 2 of 3 includes the 2 of 2 of earlier, right? So it's either you have 2 of these 3 keys or you have the insurance key once you have expired all of these time locks. And actually one thing that is not part of your question but would be interesting as well is that if you actually send the money back to the wallet, it would actually reset the time locks. So it's down to a 2 of 2 again. So these time locks, you know, they don't, the wallet doesn't stop working or anything like that. If you forgot or you missed the deadline, you can still move the funds afterwards if nobody spent them. And that just pushes the time lock and reset everything again. So you're good to go. Yeah. Okay, one more question and then I go to the next screen.
Okay, so after 1 year, so in 1 year, both recovery options have activated.
Yeah.
If I spend from the wallet, are they disabled again?
Yeah.
If I receive money into the wallet, that doesn't change anything.
Good question. So typically we call them recovery options because if it means, well, the way we use it is that we basically lost one of the keys. It's not a convenience thing, it's really a recovery thing. So if that happens, you're not supposed to just spend from the wallet normally. You're supposed to actually empty the wallet, move it to a new setup where everyone has new keys and are ready to use it again, right? Like the CEO lost their key, just set them up a new key, set up a new wallet, and with the recovery key, you just move everything. When you receive a deposit, and that's a good question that I did not cover, I just simplify when I talk about the wallet. But of course, a wallet is not a thing that exists on the blockchain. Bitcoin has no awareness of a wallet thing. Bitcoin sees coins. Coins are UTXOs, right? Same thing. So every single one of your coins of money you received, of deposits you received, are completely separated on-chain. There is nothing linking them on-chain, absolutely nothing. So it's a software on your computer, like Liana, like, I don't know, Ledger Live, Bitbox software, whatever you want. It's a software like this, like a Bitcoin wallet, but from a software perspective, that is actually going to try to fetch all of these by knowing your either XPub or descriptor. And so what I'm trying to say here is that each of these coins have their own time lock. So what that would mean in your case, if there is a new deposit, is that this specific deposit is locked for a year, but that does not affect the other ones because we can't. Bitcoin doesn't know they are the same wallet. So it's a little bit annoying from a key management perspective, but that's still okay from security.
Okay, so in effect, those recovery options, they apply to the UTXOs individually,
yes,
but not to the entire wallet.
Yes. So of course, from a wallet perspective,
so different UTXOs are going to have different spending conditions depending on which time we are right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just about coin management, and we will cover that in a bit. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to show you the piece of information that we were talking about, which is called a descriptor. So this blurb of information here, WSH, blah, 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 is basically what our Bitcoin script looks like. Well, this is a mini script descriptor. So what it contains is just the conditions and all the XPubs. So I'm not going to go through it, but basically you see a WSH here because I didn't use Taproot. I should have, but hey. So that's a witness script hash. Then it used the OR condition between a AND condition, and then you have the other option. But basically it's like showing my 2 of 2 or a 2 of 3 or my single sig, right? And so it displays each key that can do that, and it displays the block height for each of the conditions. So here you have older 52,000, for example, that's 1 year. So we know that this one is the single sig. So as an individual, you don't have to understand this, of course. This is just the way things are. It's the equivalent of your xpub for a single sig. So first thing I need to do is to back it up. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do it. But actually, I don't need it, but yeah. So if there are devs in the room, we did a cool thing very recently on Bitcoin, which is finally making encrypted descriptors. So now when you click on saving a backup here, it does a .bed, Bitcoin encrypted descriptor. This is a first step to have proper encrypted backups that are going to be more inclusive of things like labels and things like that, metadata. And this is very important because an xpub, if you have the knowledge of an xpub, you shouldn't share it on like Twitter, because then anyone with this xpub knows how much money you have and know the transaction you're doing, right? So an xpub is private, but it's not secret, as in they can't steal your funds. A descriptor is exactly the same thing for a multisig wallet. So if anyone gets this descriptor from me, they can see every transaction I'm doing. They can see how much money I have in my wallet, but they cannot spend my money. But still, it's kind of annoying. And it's an important piece of information because without it, I cannot spend my funds because I cannot find them. So it's very important to have a strong backup of this information. And it's kind of bad if it leaks. So yeah, you are kind of stuck between like how many backups should I do, right? But now with the encrypted descriptor, you can just save it on Google Drive or whatever, and Google cannot decrypt it. To decrypt it, what's the secret I need to use to decrypt this information? Of course, we don't want our users to have another secret to safekeep. That would be terrible UX. So any of the xpubs of the wallet is enough to decrypt this information. And you might say, oh yeah, but an xpub is not secure, blah, blah, blah. But if the xpub is already in the wallet, it means the person in the descriptor, it means the person is part of this wallet. So they have the information already. So with this xpub, they can actually decrypt it. So what that means is that if you still have at least one of the signing device or one of the 12 or 24 word mnemonic, you will be able to decrypt this descriptor. Doesn't mean you will be able to sign, because maybe it's a 2 of 2 or something like that, but at least you will be able to recover the information. So that's a huge thing in Bitcoin, because safekeeping descriptors was a pain. And now with that, you can actually just save it anywhere you want because it's encrypted. We have a BIP. We don't have a number yet. So there is a BIP proposal for this, and quite a few wallets are very interested or already implementing it. So that's going to be basically in every wallet at some point, and I'm very happy about that. So here we also have the wallet policy that is human readable, which is a bit better for normal human beings. So the wallet policy, it says that it's 2 signatures out of 2 by CEO and CFO. And these 2 can always spend the funds. So even if you go over the time log, these 2 never deactivate, right? It's always valid. Then it's a 2 out of 3, adding the notary after 200 blocks. And then it could be a single sig with the cold card after a whole year of recovery path. So that was the first step. Here you have a different view of this descriptor. It's basically the same thing with the xpub removed, so it's a little bit more readable for the conditions, and then you have each xpub separately. I'm supposed to register them to my hardware wallets, so I'm actually going to do it so I can show you a spending later. So it says error because my we've been talking for a while, so my wallets are locked again. I still have a bit of time. So I unlocked one of them. Now I am going to have to register it. So what does it mean? It means that it's showing me the whole descriptor on the screen. I should be checking that, yeah, it's really the one that's on the screen, etc. It does what it says it does. This is a process you do only once. Of course, it's not every time you use the wallet. I'm just showing you how to set it up. Using it then is like any normal wallet. So just the setup is a little bit longer, and this one is registered, and the second one was the bitbox, and I'm gonna try with the cable again. It is a cable issue.
Kevin, here.
Yeah.
All the setup must be done in one computer, or it could be done by distance?
Very good question. It doesn't have to be done on the same computer, no. One of the things I did here, for example, was with the cold card. So I just input the Xpub, right? Okay. So if someone has an Xpub and can give it to you, you can add them to your wallet. So if you have a friend in a different country and they are not here, and of course they don't want to fly over just to give you a key, and you would like them as a recovery key, for example, or they are a business associate in a different country, all they need to give you is this Xpub, and you can put it in the wallet. So. Okay,
perfect. But considering that, it's really quite mandatory to have the descriptor, because if I have designers and each and every one of them have the private key and the Xpub, can we reconstruct or can we rebuild the whole structure from the beginning if we don't have the descriptors?
I will say no. So there might be ways to rebuild it, but you should never assume you will be able to rebuild it. So once you finish this setup on a computer, just share the descriptor with the other person or share the encrypted descriptor. They will be able to decrypt it with their wallet. So always make sure the participants have the descriptor. Once you have the descriptor, yeah, on any computer, you can open it with Liana and you will see the funds, etc.
I am just considering that the descriptor by any given circumstance is lost.
Don't consider that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, make a lot of copies. It's encrypted. You can put it on Twitter. It's okay. Yeah, it's really important to keep your descriptor. This is also valid for any multisig wallet. This is not a comment about Liana. If you use a multisig, never assume you will be able to reconstruct the descriptor just by the Xpubs. Yes? What's the best practice to save the descriptor? Until encrypted descriptors, it was like, kind of do your best, because you don't really want to give it to Google, but at the same time, it's worse to lose it than Google knowing about it. But now that it's encrypted, just save it everywhere. Like seriously, send an email to yourself with it, put it on Google Drive, send it to your mom, I don't know. So that's a good practice. Professionally, what we do is we also store them on Blu-ray discs. So Blu-ray discs have, even your normal Blu-ray disc has like a lifespan of 50 plus years. So if you have like proper professional backups of things, yeah, Blu-rays are great for very long-term storage. So that's what I do for like super long-term. The encrypted descriptor, we don't have that yet, but there is. So because it's encrypted, you can send it to someone to make a backup for you. So you can imagine sending it to a laser engraving company, and they will laser engrave it to you without knowing anything about your descriptor and ship it to you, right? So you could imagine having metal backups and things like that of this kind of complex stuff because it's encrypted. So a lot of new services are going to happen thanks to the encrypted descriptors. So I don't believe losing a descriptor is going to be an issue in the near future, yeah.
Considering this new feature of encryption, it is provided only by Liana or by every multisig wallet in the market right now?
Descriptors, every multisig wallet, yes. Okay. But this specific time lock stuff, it's only Miniscript wallets. So you have, or some Miniscript wallets. So you have Liana, which is us. You have AnchorWatch that use a specific predefined template for using insurance and things like that. Also, Nunchuck now added Miniscript in their kind of like advanced custom section. And there is also Bitcoin Keeper, which is a mobile app, which use Miniscript descriptors for some time lock things. But none of them so friendly as Liana, right? Of course not.
Okay, very good.
I would say we built Liana exclusively for this, right? It's really built for this type of use case. So yeah, like the whole user experience is built for that. From a security perspective, I mean, I can't comment badly, but from a security perspective, Liana is built pretty much the same way as Bitcoin Core is built. We follow exactly the same steps in terms of bootstrappable builds, reproducible builds. All of our code is reviewed by multiple eyeballs before being merged, etc., etc. We have a pretty strong process. So yeah, I would say like from a security perspective, I would by far trust Liana over any other software wallet right now, except maybe Bitcoin Core that also has a lot of eyeballs. reviewing things, right? So I think it's important. It's just a small thing, but it's important to me. All right, so now that I set up my wallet, I need to have access to the blockchain information. So I'm running on rake test, so I have a node on my machine. I'm going to select that one. I already have a node. It knows where to find it, so I'm just going to check connection, and it worked. And next, I'm going to call it Lugano. So that's my Lugano wallet, and it is finalizing, and I am on my wallet. I don't have any Bitcoin right now. It looks like a normal wallet, right? You have a wallet, you have 0 coins right now. You can send, you can receive, you can see the different UTXOs, coins. You can see transactions. That's more like of a technical screen to see actual transactions. PSBTs, if you are using multisig stuff, you probably know PSBTs already. That's partially signed Bitcoin transactions. Because it's multisig, you can have it partially signed or not signed at all. So you can craft a transaction that doesn't have yet the signatures or have only the CEO and it needs to send it to the CFO, etc. So that's where we will find it. So I want to receive some coins. So I need to generate an address. I can add a label. So I'm going to say my first coins. So this is like a Bitcoin address, right? It's a normal Bitcoin address. You should always verify, especially when it's a larger amount, your Bitcoin address on your signing device. The reason for that is that you should never trust your computer. And you should probably not trust Liana as a software or anything like that. Don't trust things on a computer. Just always verify on your hardware, like basically what's going on. And so I'm going to just check on any of the devices. So it's just showing me the exact address I have on my screen here. And I approve. So I just know it's the same address. I'm happy with it. Yeah, now I need to send coins. I don't yet have coins. So here on this tool, you can see balance 0 BTC. The reason for that, that's just free knowledge. This is a masterclass, so you're supposed to learn stuff. When you mine a block, it's not 6 confirmations to be able to spend the coins. It's 100. So just in case you didn't know yet, miners cannot spend their coins before they have 100 block generated. So I'm going to generate 100 blocks that I'm going to send to the miner itself. So it's doing that in the back. Boom, now I have 100 Bitcoin. So I have 100 Bitcoin because I already had 2 blocks. So older than 100 block, because I just did 100 block, I have 2 blocks. And the block was 50 Bitcoin at the beginning. So this is why I have 100 Bitcoin. I'm going to send the coins to this address. So I'm just going to put the address here. I'm going to say, I'm going to send 21 coins. So now that I sent 21 coins, we should be able to see them here when that refreshes. Takes a little bit of time for the backend to check all of the things. So I could make it faster for the demo, but I don't want to play with the settings too much. Oh, I might need to do a few blocks. Actually, no, it should show in the mempool, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to generate a couple of blocks to show an unconfirmed transaction when it wants to show it. Okay. Well, now it's confirmed because I did 2 blocks, but so I have 21 Bitcoin now. Woo! This is a reg test wallet. Coins have no value. It's useless to try to kidnap me after. This is fake coins. I will repeat it again. So here it tells me, oh, in 1 day, the first recovery path will be available. So it shows it, as a normal payment. I can also actually generate a bunch of transactions. Let's say I'm going to do 3 transactions between 1 Bitcoin and 4 Bitcoin to a descriptor. So I'm going to fetch my descriptor. I can also find it in the settings, right? It's not only shown at the creation of the wallet. As long as I have access to my wallet settings, I can just copy paste the descriptor. Up. So this tool is really cool because it can send a bunch of transactions. Like for testing, it's really, really cool. So when that refreshes, we will have 3 more transactions. So yeah, to send, it's the same thing. Okay, they arrive now, they are unconfirmed. So to send, I just need a Bitcoin address. I'm going to actually get one from the miner. So we did receive these coins, right? So if I go to transaction details, you don't need to do that as a normal user, but I know we sent 21 Bitcoin to this wallet, so I know like this is the address of this wallet. But the other output is basically the change going back to the miner. So I'm going to use that to send the money. Yeah, it's just because I need an address to send somewhere. So sending, I don't know, what is this? I'm going to send a salary to the CFO, so he's happy. And that's gonna be 0. I don't know how much is a CFO paid. That's a good CFO. All right, so you can also do batching, of course. You know, like batching is adding multiple payments in the same transactions because you don't want to do, you know, only one at a time. You are a business, you want to pay multiple people, but hey. So I'm just going to do one this time. Fee rate, I'm gonna put 2 sats per VByte, doesn't matter. So here you can select your coins. Of course, it's doing it automatically if I don't want to select them manually. So here we're going to go for the one that expires the closest. And it says status not ready because we haven't signed it. So the transaction is crafted, but it's not signed yet. So if I click on here, I know I need 2 more signatures, one from the CEO, one from the CFO. So I'm gonna start signing by the CEO, which is the ledger, this one. So here is going to send me the details of the transaction. But as you see on the screen, as you saw on the screen, it's basically, why is it not displaying it? Did I? Ah, yeah, it's a bitbox, sorry. Thank you. It's actually on the other screen. Some people are following. Feedback for the bitbox. So every time it asks, do you want to show the policy? Most people think they need to press next, next, next. And so you have to re-verify the whole descriptor every time you spend, and that's kind of annoying. Of course, I know I can press no, but I don't think we should verify the policy every time. I don't know why it's there.
We could make it a checkbox in the Liana if you want to see it again.
Yeah, but the whole point that it's verified once is that you did it. I don't know. It's the only wallet that does that. So I signed with the CEO, so now I'm going to do the CFO, so it's going to be the ledger. So this is just like a normal multi-sig process, right? Like it's asking me for 2 signatures. As the question before, I think it was from you, this doesn't have to be done on the same computer. It doesn't have to be done on the same place. It could be 2 different people in 2 different countries. Once one have it, he can just send it to the other person. We also have our own backend that we call Liana Connect. So if you use Liana Connect, you don't have to send the PSBT to them. They just open their Liana and they see they have a transaction waiting to be signed. So it's more practical, less good for your privacy, but you know, more practical for people who don't want to exchange PSBTs and stuff like that. And that's signing. So it's done. Now I can broadcast it, meaning sending it to the Bitcoin network. So here, as you can see, it didn't ask me anything about the other keys, right? And the reason for that is that because it wasn't, well, it wasn't expired yet, or expired as in like a time lock wasn't available to spend. So I'm going to mine a few more blocks to actually try to make it expired. It was like 200 blocks I think I made, so I'm gonna do 250. And so the time now is going to be a bit more than a day, so it should soon, okay. So now it's complaining that one of the recovery paths is or will very soon be available. I know it's already done. So if I go to the coin screen, you can see expired, expired, expired. Maybe it's not the best term because coins don't really expire, but the time lock is expired. So if you have better naming conventions, please send them our way. Coming up with new solutions mean you also need to come up with new vocabulary. It's not always easy. So that means now that I can go to the recovery screen and it will tell me, oh, one recovery path is available. So it's telling me that I can actually sign it with 2 signatures from notary, CEO, CFO, right? And so, yeah, I can do that. But like it's exactly the same process. So now it's actually by default selecting all the coins. This is because, again, otherwise, if you kind of spend from it and you have change, the change is going to be time locked. It's not really the way to do that. It's like a recovery transaction to move to a new, fresh wallet where you actually have all the keys. You don't have any lost keys anymore. So this is why it selects everything by default. You can still deselect if you want to play with your coin selection for privacy, whatever reason. But just so you know, that's the reason why. So again, I could put an address. I can sign. I mean, I should probably. So do I still have the address in memory? Yeah. So I'm just going to send to the same address as before, and we're going to say recovery. So that should empty the wallet if that's not an address from this wallet. I think that was from the other one, so that should be good. And I will sign, actually, let's say the CEO lost their keys. And so it's only the CFO and the notary, so I'm going to sign with both of those. I will sign, so CFO we said. That should be that one, yeah. On the ledger, here, it shows exactly the normal flow of a transaction. It doesn't show anything different from any normal wallet, any normal multisig wallet. We don't do any weird things like they do in Ethereum and other stuff. There is no blind signing. This is completely validated on the hardware. Yeah, there is no like weird stuff happening from a hardware perspective here. This is really something we spent a lot of time on, basically harassing hardware wallets, and some of them can probably occur, like, yeah. But yeah, we've been harassing hardware wallets so they implement miniscript, so they can actually validate all of the scripts we're doing directly in the hardware. Right now, most hardware wallet manufacturers support miniscript, not all of them. So if you try, for example, to plug in a Trezor to Liana, it's not gonna work. Trezor does not yet support miniscript. I don't know why. I don't know if there is anyone from Trezor in the room, but please, guys. Yeah. If you have a Bitbox, if you have a Ledger, if you have a Cold Card, if you have a Jade, if you have a Spectre DIY, if you have a Crux, you can sign miniscript transactions. Yes?
Liana wallet, or what exactly does it mean?
If your hardware does not support miniscript, what does this mean? Technically speaking, if you're a technical person, you could sign, yes. The problem is that your wallet is going to blind sign. So it's going to sign without understanding the transaction. So maybe you are being scammed and sending all of your money outside. The main issue is about the change address. So because the hardware doesn't understand your wallet condition, it cannot know the change actually belongs to you. So the attack is that an external attacker would put their address instead of the change. So you still verify the amount you're sending, but you never verify the amount you are getting as change, and you would get scammed and all that money would be gone. So
I don't think hardware wallets even support blind signing this kind of thing.
you can make them sign, yeah.
But
Maybe not Trezor, but some of them you can, yeah.
But so with the current software, can I use a Trezor wallet as one of the signers, even though I
No.
know the risks?
No, but you could put the expub of your Trezor. Like we have no way of knowing, right, that it's a Trezor. So I'm just going to unlock this. Then I think they will want to kick me out. So I'm just showing you the recovery. And insurance key should show up soon. What does? No, this one was the last one, right? So I need the cold card. So it's doing its job correctly. You see, my insurance key cannot sign. So now you have a bonus presentation of how to do air gap with a cold card. Although, can you define that as air gap because I'm connected in USB? No, but it's the same flow as it would be if you were using an SD card. So I'm going to use the virtual memory of the cold card. So it's not going to go through the USB as like connecting directly to the cold card in that sense. It's going to show my cold card as a virtual drive, like as a pen drive on the computer. So I'm just going to drop the PSBT there, sign it on the cold card, grab the PSBT from the virtual drive, and put it in Liana. So that would be exactly the same thing if you were putting an SD card, dropping the PSBT in the SD card, plugging the SD card in your cold card, etc. Okay, my cold card is on. We don't see it because I have a bug on my computer for some reason about that. So I'm going to go to my file explorer. I'm going to show you that on screen. So my cold card looks like this, right? So it shows me on my computer a drive named cold card. That's when you enable the virtual drive. It has some files in there, it doesn't matter. So what I want to do here is to export my PSBT. So that's my transaction, including my CFO signature. I'm going to save that to my cold card drive. I can name it psbt.psbt. Just gonna take 1 more minute, guys. And now my cold card is reading this transaction. It should complain because I forgot to register my descriptor. It is indeed failure and non-script because I forgot, of course, to send the descriptor to the cold card. So I can do that right now. Same thing, I'm going to copy because it doesn't detect it. I'm going to go to a text document. I'm just creating that, putting my descriptor in there, saving it to my cold card, and I can just call it descriptor. And so when I do that, my cold card is going to be proposing me to verify the miniscript descriptors. If it does not, I'm just going to go to the settings and accept it. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. So I have to go to miniscript and add my miniscript, Liana. So I'm importing. Something didn't work. Did I not save it correctly? Thank you. Wow, somebody's really following here. My God. Oh, wait, I don't see. Is it a dot? Yeah. And of course, it has been changed by another program. Yes, thank you. Okay. Import to. Yeah, I did something bad again. But it's there though. No. Well, maybe we'll skip that part because they don't want me to waste too much time. Assuming it shows on my cold card, it will let me sign and it will work as it should. But I really need to leave the stage because I took already 10 minutes more. So sorry guys, I just failed the last thing. But I hope you enjoyed and learned some things. Yeah, so we don't have time for questions now. And thank you very much for coming. And I'll just be outside if you want to talk to me right afterwards.